Hello, everybody, and welcome to this episode of Common Sense Zoo. For more than 8 years, the Democrats have leveled Trump as enemy of democracy, threat to democracy, destructive to democracy. There was no single day this was not the talk on the air. So even when Biden gave that infamous speech he gave at Pennsylvania, where the backdrop of the speech was like something from the Killer Squad. All he was saying that the MAGA and the extreme MAGA people will destroy the country because they are not just a threat to democracy; they are the existential threat to the existence of America. You will expect that people who have this mindset respect justice and the rule of law. You will also expect that they allow the rule of law to take its hand without interfering and without obstructing the rule of law. On the contrary, every single thing they have done leading to the time have been to alter the course of justice and to stand as a diversion to real justice, making it difficult for those who deserve justice to get it and those who do not deserve justice to thrive. And that leads to what is going on now. Towards the end of his unceremonious tenure, he has fast forwarded his pardoning power to be like the power of exorcism, whereby you wave your hand, every single thing somebody does disappears in just a second. He has pardoned the people who even have committed the worst of the sin, killing people. And even committed the sentence of those who have not really been convicted of anything, in anticipation that they might be convicted of something, like his son Hunter. All those were big already, but they were not in comparison in any way to what he's doing now, commuting the sentence of 37 out of 40 of those who are on the federal execution roll. Those who have had their case in the court and were deemed guilty of the heinous part of sins, killing of the other, taking away life of the other in a most brutal way. And every single one of these people testified against themselves. They put their hand on paper that they did these crimes. And the families of the killed ones use it as a consolation. We can't get our loved one, but at least we are sure that the person who killed them is no more among us, so to speak. On the contrary, he removed 37 of them out of death row and put them on a life sentence without parole. Who knows which other Democrat will come and remove that also and get them out? But that is not the question. The question is, who is actually a threat to democracy? Who is actually a threat to the existence of a nation? Who has done something enough to deserve that emblem? Now, I want you to see Fox News and other news organizations have put their own mouth in this. They have said one or two things about it, and I want you to listen.
So there are 2 days to go until Christmas, of course, and some families are getting some shocking news. President Biden announcing the commutations of 34 of 40 federal death row inmates, those benefiting, including child killers and mass murderers like Jose Oliva Torres, who was put behind bars after murdering 2 little girls and a woman between 2005 and 2009. Torres stabbed an 8- and 9-year-old girl after sexually assaulting them in a Chicago suburb in 2005. Then 4 years later, he strangled 20-year-old naval officer.
Such a person who killed such number of people over a period of 4 or 5 years indicates to you that he is not normal. He has a brain problem. He has a psychiatric problem. And it's not something you just solve by having some section. It is something that you must solve by keeping him completely locked out from every other human being. Anything contrary to that is more of political. And Biden can claim that this is not political, but unfortunately it is. If it is not political, why did he allow the 3 people he did not commit their sentences to remain there? He didn't do it because he knows that the public will rise against him. Because it's political, he chose those who have a possibility of not raising the dust. But how can you go to the family of these people and tell them, it's okay, the level of their crime is not as big as these people's own, whereas all of them did was take people's life in a more brutal and uncanny way. So look at what more Fox News have to say about this and just tell me what you think.
Yeah.
Another one is convicted murderer Thomas Stephen Sanders. He shot a 12-year-old 4 times, cut her throat in Louisiana back in 2010. He now gets life.
The Attorney General Merrick Garland recommending to President Biden all but a handful of these death sentences be commuted. Now, the exceptions include Boston Marathon bomber Dzhokhar Tsarnaev, Pittsburgh synagogue killer Robert Bowers, and the church shooter down in South Carolina, Dylan Roof, all very high profile, all with political sensitivities. But I would imagine if you are a loved one of any of the other 37, you're like, well, OK, you made these 3 exceptions for stories people have heard about. What about our justice?
Yeah.
What about our kid? And look, I'm actually against the death penalty in cases where there's any ambiguity about guilt whatsoever. But some of these people, absolute stone cold killers, proven beyond any doubt. And Joe Biden comes in the final days of his presidency and waves this wand. And I think we're going to hear from some of these families very, very unhappy about this.
I mean, if you were shocked by the 1,500 that he commuted the sentences, this should shock you to the core. So these people are going from being on death row to serving life in prison, which means that they're waking up happy today.
So the question is, if it is about your principle, why didn't you let everyone go? It has nothing to do with principle. The 3 people he left behind have a political wave around them that if you pull it off, then everyone will talk. And the legacy you're trying to cover up will be exposed as being a sham. That is why he left them. They are doing what they're doing, thinking that nobody will find out that there's political aspect of it. Unfortunately, you can fool some people sometimes, but it's not always that you can succeed in fooling everyone. So it doesn't make sense that this is what he used to give people as their Christmas gift, telling them that the people who took the life of their loved ones are going to be let out to the streets maybe sooner than expected. Or that going from the death row which they belong, there are now a slip of chance that they might come now. They may be out, or they still live with us, eating and benefiting from the taxpayers' money until who knows when. So what sense does it make? And before we go on with this, if you're getting any value from this, please share, like, comment, and of course, subscribe. So let me see also what you think about this commutation. Is it the right thing to do? Is it the right thing to do by somebody who has only few hours to leave office, making it difficult for somebody replacing him to have something genuine to do on the same subject? So let's go over and watch out what they're saying too, because it's still more they have to say, and I think they made a lot of sense.
And can you imagine being the mother of those 2 little girls who were murdered and hear that the Biden administration is going to give the killer of your children a win? And the thinking behind the scenes in excluding the 3 people, Dylan Roof and Dzhokhar Tsarnaev and the other individual that's not getting a sentence commuted, is that they were the worst killers, so that they can't do that. You're going to look at a mother and say that the man that killed her 2 daughters is not among the worst. How do you judge that? How do you have the moral compass to do that?
You just got to wonder if he's doing any of this. So 37 of 40 are going to get, 37 of 40 will get life instead of death. And why would he do this? Well, he's going to go visit the Pope. And the Pope is against the death penalty.
Yeah.
And maybe he's trying to expunge, have one thing, because he's also campaigned on the fact how much he loves abortion. So as a Catholic, you're going to go see the Pope. It's like, hey, yeah, I'm pro-abortion, but on the good side is I'm going to save some of the death penalty.
Yeah, and
so I'll let the
killers,
let the fetus die, but I'll let the murderers live.
That is so true. And you know what? I do sympathize with people who are against the death penalty. But what Joe Biden should have done, if he wanted to leave his mark on this, is something that he didn't do. The Wall Street Journal says the administration didn't give priority to bills to end federal capital punishment when he was in office, didn't follow through on his campaign pledge to call on states to eliminate the death penalty. If he wanted to make this a priority during his administration, that's what he should have done. Not at the 11th hour commute these sentences and rob people of the justice that they thought they had.
Well, and the other thing is, Carly, he's presenting this in the statement that was written for him, right? The administration is presenting this as a principled stance against the death penalty. Is like, we're against capital punishment. We're not going to let the next guy come in and carry out these executions when we had a moratorium. Okay, if you're so principled, why the exceptions, right? Principles don't have exceptions.
Political blowback.
Politics.
So you can see that. You can claim that this is out of principle, but come on, nobody knows. You know that Biden didn't write any of this. He doesn't even know where he was. He only knows that there is something in front of him, and he will read everything put in front of him, including end of the quote, turn the page. Things like that. 4 more years, clap. Somebody who is on that level of corpus mentis cannot be, responsible for anything. There's no person who will truthfully and honestly say that it is him that is taking this decision. It's impossible to believe that. And everyone knows it. So the deception they have carried out for 4 years, they are still taking to the last minute. And that brings the question, who is doing what? Who is responsible for this action? Because anyone who has common sense knows that Joe Biden is not responsible for this action. He doesn't even know if he's alive. He doesn't know where he is. He doesn't know, and I mean he doesn't know, because if you remember all the way from when he was campaigning for the election that brought him into power, there was a time he was misplacing his wife, his sister for the wife, and people ignored it. Nobody talked about it. We know that he's not there, and that's who is taking the responsibility if the person who is voted to take that responsibility is absolutely not there. Because somebody who is in his status cannot make this decision at the final minute of his stay in office, because it doesn't justify anything, not morals and not principles. And whatever it justifies, only he and those who are making this decision can answer for it. And I hope people who are coming after look into it. So,
all about politics. So if you're one of the 37 other families, sorry, your politics didn't matter as much than those 3, which they flagged for political reasons, which is very different than a principled stand.
So, in everything you are doing as somebody in charge, remove politics. Even though what you play to go inside power is politics. But when you govern with rule of law. That is the only way the right path can be followed and the status quo of a country can exist. Otherwise, anarchy is awaiting everyone. So if you like what you heard, please like, share, and subscribe. And until then, let's see at the coming year or a few days more before then. Thank you very much for watching.